Hello everyone, and welcome to All Things STEM with Ashley. I'm here today with our guest Sierra Murdock.
Hi guys.
I'm super excited to have her here today. Sierra is a software product acquisition manager in the aerospace industry with a strong background in engineering. Holding a BS in mechanical engineering from Southern University A&M College, Sierra is currently pursuing a MS in engineering management at Southern Methodist University. With experience as both a supplier quality engineer and a software product engineer, Sierra specializes in supporting the acquisition and implementation of software products. Driven by a passion for continuous learning and critical thinking, Sierra is always exploring new processes and technologies to optimize their applications. Outside of work, Sierra is deeply committed to inspiring the next generation of STEM leaders, particularly young women, by teaching and mentoring them in this vital field. So today, we welcome Sierra.
Hi guys.
Hi, thank you for coming.
No problem. I'm so excited to be here. I'm honored that you chose me to be a part of your journey as well, as you get into this channel, and I think it's very important. So thank you for inviting me.
Yes. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes.
And how you got involved in the STEM industry?
Yes. So I am from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As she said, I graduated in mechanical engineering from Southern University. Currently pursuing my master's degree in engineering management at SMU here in Dallas, Texas. So I graduate May 2025. I'm excited for that. So how did I get into STEM? So I did, as far as my family, I did have an aunt and a cousin who were currently working in the engineering field as women already. So that was some internal to my family people that kind of helped at least give me visibility to the STEM field. Additionally, while I was in high school, a lady, she was able to put together a platform or propose to a high school to have an engineering track for high school students. So I was a part of the first set of students at my high school to do an engineering track within high school, and they taught us or introduced us really to civil engineering, electrical engineering, and mechanical engineering. And additionally, we were able to get a high school internship, and so at that time, mine was to shadow a civil engineer with the Department of Transportation. So that was a pretty cool experience, being that I was 15, 16 at the time. So that's how I got introduced to STEM.
I love that. Thank you. That's so unique. So do you know if your high school still has that program?
Yes, we do actually, or they do actually, and I'm glad they continue it. Because honestly, my high school and my university are down the street from each other, so it is a nice pipeline to keep engineers interested at my university. I think it's that direct pipeline, and if they want to go back to the high school, you can teach some high school students, hey, this is what we're doing in college, this is what you can be a part of as well. So
what is the program called if a student would, and what high school?
So it's Scotlandville Macklin High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And so they have a few different tracks you can follow once you enter to the high school. And it was business. I think there was a law track and then engineering track. So that was a pretty good thing to include or implement within a high school.
So for those of you there, check that out if there's any high school.
I love my Hornets.
I love it. Thank you. So can you share any role models or mentors that have inspired your STEM journey?
Yes. So like I said initially, my aunt and cousin, they were already in the STEM field. But as I entered as an entry-level engineer, I was kind of assigned a mentor. And I'm so grateful for her, because I think as you have your own talents as a technical engineer, I think there's some interpersonal skills that you need to learn as you enter into the business. And if it was not for her, I do not think I would be sitting here in front of you guys today. I always like to appreciate my first mentor, because she kind of helped guide me how to improve as a professional as I enter into the field. So I really, really appreciated that from her.
Great.
So get a mentor, you guys.
Yes, get a mentor. They are very helpful. So were there any challenges you faced growing up that made pursuing a STEM career difficult?
What type of challenges? I'm trying to think. So I would say For me, in my background, I was, of course, I already said Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but I was kind of used to, being around my people,
Yeah.
being around people I knew would support me, knew would support my journey. And as I got my first job into the industry, it was like a culture shock for me, honestly. And so I think my mentor, like I mentioned earlier, helped guide me to just understand the different business place rules or some of the nuances as being a new engineer going into a field with a lot of experienced people. So I would say that was my biggest challenge, and just being confident in who you are, being confident to speak up when there are issues that arise, and just continue to be the best person and engineer you can be. So I could say that was just little challenges, just culture shocks. But once I grew past that, I think I'm doing pretty well now.
That's good.
That would be that right now,
Okay. Sierra, can you please explain an overview of what mechanical engineering does and what it entails?
Yes, so mechanical engineering is really understanding mechanical systems and how they work, just from like a physical standpoint. Like, for example, like a pulley system is an example of a mechanical system. And so I will go into what I do now, which is software product management. And previously, as I entered into engineering, I did supplier quality. Even though I didn't stick to designing a robot or designing something from a mechanical standpoint, my degree was able to, it's a very broad degree, so it was able to I think that engineers, we all think a certain way, and I think that we embody, knowing how to figure out things, knowing how to use what we done in engineering from a study perspective and going into a completely different field. So I was able to go into supplier quality where, for example, I had to still review drawings of supplier parts. So I think that my engineering degree or mechanical engineering helped me with that as I transitioned to more of just a supplier quality role. So, but I know some people that design actual mechanical systems, when you're thinking about procuring or building a new product, it's needed. A whole product is more than just the software and the computer science behind it all, but it is the mechanical system itself. So
Good. Thank you for that overview.
No problem.
So you kind of got into this. I want to go a little deeper into how mechanical engineering is a broad field. So what are some different career paths within it that people may not be aware of?
Right. So, of course, you have your typical mechanical fields, I would say, like automotive and manufacturing. I think that the big switch from mechanical to now I can say I'm in software product management is just really honing in on what are those transferable skills that you learned in school, learned in the roles that may have nothing to necessarily do with what you were originally, I would say, originally trained to, or originally the studies you originally obtained. So I think you can do anything with mechanical as long as you put your mind to it. If there are skills that you necessarily do not have from a technical standpoint, like I graduated in mechanical, now I'm in software. Of course, there's a gap that I had to close when jumping from like a mechanical background to more of a software interface role. So I will say, even though you may be trained as one thing, I think we're all engineers, we all think the same way. You can do pretty much anything you want to do as long as you put the effort for it, be dedicated to what you want to do next. And like if you do need the additional schooling, the additional tools, make sure you take those classes or reach out to, there's technical mentors who've been in the industry for a long time. Make sure you close the gap on some things that, hey, I'm not trained in it, but make sure you can find the resources to help you get better at whatever you want to do. So I think, that's how I think about it. You can do anything.
You can. So with that, you already touched on how it does interact with other disciplines. So how does mechanical engineering kind of interact with computer science, aerospace engineering, or civil engineering?
So I would say a good example for mechanical engineering. So a lot of mechanical engineers or design engineers, they use a system called CAD. So I would say how software kind of helps engineers develop whatever product to whatever spec or requirements that they want to accomplish. We have a CAD system, which is a software application to help those engineers do the type of analysis that needs to be done before a prototype is built. And I think that's important when we think about, hey, we're designing things from a mechanical standpoint. Hey, we have a software, and CAD's been around for a while, but now when you think about AI and the improvements that can be made upon software applications to help the engineers, I think it's important to use both disciplines to create a product, and that helps save money, which all companies care about, time, and run the additional stress analysis that you need to run on the product before you do a prototype. So I think that's one great example of how you can merge two different disciplines together to get what you want, essentially. So
now that we kind of got to talk about all the great things and how mechanical collaborates with so many, how do you think mechanical engineering will evolve over the next 5 to 10 years with things like you already mentioned, AI and different things?
Yes, I think that as we get into more discoveries of what technology can do, I think that a lot of companies will start investing in what type of tools engineers are using to develop the products that they are developing. And I think that is essential to start including advances in technologies in the company. So I do think, as we think about, as I mentioned earlier, designing, we already have certain tools that help with that. Imagine building upon those tools we already have when we do include AI. And additionally, machine learning. I think there's a lot of different things that we have today that, maybe years ago we couldn't imagine. So I can only imagine. I would love to see how AI would take more of the front face role. I think we still need the human factors and things like that, but I would love to see how things are done moving forward using AI and make sure we put the right controls around it, because we want to make sure we're building efficient processes, efficient systems that, yes, we can use AI to help us, but it shouldn't be, we still need the human factors to tune it to make sure it's where we expect it to be. So I do think technology is going to be amazing moving forward, and I think that's great.
I'm glad. Thank you for sharing your perspective on that. Now we're going to pivot a little bit about your master's degree. So I want to ask you, what motivated you to pursue a master's degree while you were already working in your STEM field?
So I think when I became an entry-level engineer within the first 2 years, I think you're just learning the business, learning what do we do at this company, how is it done. I think even when we think about STEM, I've always been curious on how things work. And I believe I seen a Black woman as an executive leader, and I just had a thought like, could that be me one day? And I just think I have this internal, I feel I'm here to do something great. And so when I think about engineering management, I always love the bigger picture. I want to know how everything fits from the financial standpoint, from the technical development standpoint, from the, now we're in production standpoint. And I think engineering management is a great degree to get to understand, how do you run an engineering or technical business? And I think it's valuable skills that the degree, I believe, will give me. And, maybe in leadership one day or executive one day. And I just wanted to make sure I had the tools that I needed if that's truly a dream I want to pursue, which I do think I will pursue.
I love it.
And then outside of that, I will be the first one in my family to get a master's degree. So it's like even my personal goals, what I want to set forward just from my family standpoint, but as well as just my own vision for what I have for myself. So that's
good.
Why,
Congrats. That's
Thank
amazing.
You.
That is so wonderful. So with you doing your master's degree while working full-time, how do you balance work, studies, personal life? What strategies do you utilize that help you manage your workload, because it's
Yeah.
important to have, balance.
Yes.
So what are some tips you can
Yes.
share for managing that with our audience?
So you guys, you have to, I think first is deciding, or if you decide to, first, once you decide, hey, I want to, pursue a postgraduate degree, you have to know yourself first, but you have to make that commitment. And I think once you make that commitment, I believe you have to stick with it and you have to stick to it. So I would say first, with knowing yourself, what is important to you. And I do believe in work-life balance, school-life balance, 100%. So what is important to you, who is important to you, your family and friends, making sure not only do you prioritize what you need to do for yourself, but so you can get a break. We all need breaks from all the things we're trying to achieve sometimes. So I think that making sure you just good time management, really, making sure you keep in touch with your friends. And I understand, I truly understand that you may not be able to do everything, but you have to just reprioritize what's important to you. And I think if you have great friends, they will understand.
Oh, yeah.
If you have great they will understand. They understand you're trying to reach your own personal goal. So I don't think it's too much to ask, or even if you have to say no, I think people are understanding that, hey, I'm busy. And even when you're not busy, sometimes you're just plain tired.
Yes.
And you need to get your rest. I prioritize rest because you do not want to be stressed, dehydrated, passing out anywhere just from moving so much. Yeah. So prioritize. I guess to wrap it up, what's important to you, making sure you think about your health as well, and make sure you're making time for your friends and family when you can. Yeah. So
thank you.
I think that's how you balance it.
Thank you so much. Sierra.
Yes.
How does your current job complement the concepts you're learning in your master's program?
So my current job has a lot with dealing with suppliers and understanding contracts and understanding, requirements and things like that. And I think engineering management, because it discusses this is how you manage first internally an engineering business, but this is how you have things in place to be successful where you are. I think my current degree is teaching me the overall picture of making sure, just from a supplier, I guess a supplier interface, if you're working with suppliers, to make sure first that things are set in order from the contract perspective, from the funding perspective, and funding rules the world. Knowing finances is really important, and I think that when we think of creating solutions from a technical standpoint, let's not forget the financials when it comes to those technical solutions, because that will be the decision indicator, or the decision, or I'm trying to think of the word, the reason why one project may get chosen over another. And I think that's what I love about it. Like, yes, I'm technical, but I really love the business side of things, because that's what makes the world go round and round. That's how we become profitable in a company. So I would say that's the biggest takeaway right now from my degree.
Good. Yeah. Thank you. So next I want to ask, and you kind of touched on this, how do you envision your master's degree influencing your long-term career path?
I do want to become a leader, a technical leader one day. I think we do need more diverse leadership that have different perspectives as well. And I think one of the biggest things, and this will kind of touch on the previous question, just making really good data-driven decisions. So understanding where you are today, whether that's within your team, whether that's within your current role and what you control, understanding where you are today and seeing what may be the failure points, and then improving upon. And I think another thing with leadership is that you learn how to lead highly technical people who are good at kind of like keeping their head down and doing their work and being really in the details. I think I have a passion for helping people, and I think being a technical leader can help, or anyone that leads a team should want to pull out the best in each individual under them. And I truly believe in that mission. I think we just need more leaders with that mindset, in my personal opinion. Just making sure everyone reaches their full potential. And I think that I have the personality and the passion to be that type of leader that's needed for the future. Especially, let's think about technology changing over time. You know, it can be a hard thing when you think of when you think of a demographic of a team and you have some, more mature employees and trying to get them to, let's say, implement a new technology, that could be a hard, thing to do. And I think it takes a special leader to really influence their team to be the best that they can be, but also understand the goal of the team, the goal of the company, so we can all pursue the same thing. So I think that's how I think my current degree will help me for my future. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So now I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to someone considering a master's degree while already working full time?
I would say do it. Stay committed to it. I think it's important to get that extra level of education, just because it's something that propels you for whatever your future may hold. And I think it's best to prepare earlier than later for whatever that future is. I would say know yourself as well. Know what you want to do. I think that's important. What makes you happy from a job standpoint? And that's where you can kind of levy what you know about yourself and levy what degrees they have out there to decide, okay, what is the best. Don't just pick any masters.
No, it's a lot of work to just be picking.
It's a lot of work. And if you're personally paying for it, it's a lot of money as well. So I wouldn't say just pick any masters just to say I have a second degree. I would say really sit down and understand yourself. Understand, okay, what do I love to do? Be honest with yourself. I know with engineering, we think a lot of money and a lot of, just really a lot of money and a lifestyle that we can afford. But I think it's important to really hone in what makes you happy and where do you see yourself in 5 years. And if you want to be a person that develops an app, and I know there's you can have a bachelor's degree in computer science or computer engineering or whatever. When you think about master's, really whatever specialty you want to go in, whether you want to be the subject matter expert, whether you want to be in leadership, whether you want to be a technical leader, create your own company, do your research, figure out with yourself first, do your research on what's available and choose. But I do think it's beneficial, especially as we think about, where I don't know if I want to say economy or just where, when you think about where jobs are going in the future, I think that's smart. I think I made that pivot pretty earlier. I was in mechanical and I was able to network. I was able to learn, use some transferable skills, and I'm in software product management. And so I think understanding where the economy is going, understanding what makes you happy, and pick a master's that's based off of knowing yourself, if I was to wrap it up, knowing yourself, what makes you happy, and also where's the future going. I think those are important keys in picking a postgraduate degree. So yes.
Thank you. Sierra?
Yes, ma'am.
What advice would you give to young women considering a career in STEM but are unsure about balancing it with family, personal life, or other interests?
I would say you have to understand what's important to you and prioritize things that are important to you. Because even as you get into the in the field or as a working professional, I think you will always have that constant balance of, work may be requiring more and it's making you spend less time with friends and family. And I think you have to always really prioritize, maybe for a certain time period, I have to focus on this. And then now I have time to, kind of like my master's degree right now, I know for the last 3 years, I've been in and out. There'll be months when I'm just focused on school, and then there's some time I can go out with friends and have a great time. And I think you have to just consistently reprioritize what's important to you and make sure those values or things that you find valuable, like your family and friends and even community service, make sure you find some time, because we all need those things to feed us, and to help us even be productive, I think, even in the professional world. So I think understand what you need from all aspects and make sure you prioritize those needs.
And definitely research the different types of jobs in whatever STEM field you want to be in. Because one thing that mentors brought up to my attention when I was working in production, they were like, well, one day when you want to have a family, you can't be breathing in these chemicals every day in production. So make sure whatever path you go into does have a safe space for you to not be, like if it is with chemicals or a lab, make sure there's an option for you to be more on the office side or something, so that you can keep your health in check as well, while keeping your family life and social life and everything else you want.
Right, so, I agree. That's great advice.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that. I'm like, I just got a college. What y'all talking about? Like, I'm 20.
Family.
Yeah, I'm in my 20s.
Early for this.
I was like, what do you mean? They were like, you cannot do this job when you're pregnant with that. And I'm like,
yeah.
And that's something we're not taught in school.
We don't. I think as a woman, it's not that we don't plan on whatever your choice is as far as family. Yeah. I think that if that's important to you, and you're like, I want to build a family one day, you have to think about what jobs are out there to support whatever you envision for your life. Yeah. And I think once COVID happened, can we do work from home? I think that's a valuable option now. Yeah. So if you have to, it's important to get the skills to do this now. Yeah. But if you have to take a remote job 100%, make sure you have the skills to do so. I think that's important as well. And I think that's the other thing in STEM. There are roles that you can do from home. And I think that's important. But that's I didn't think about that.
Girl, I didn't either. When they came to me, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's 5-10 years down the road. Like, what do you mean?
And then the 5-10 years are here.
Yes. I'm like, I see what they meant.
That's exactly
what here. Thank God for mentorship.
Yes.
Okay, so now I want to ask you, what is the best piece of career advice you've received so far, and how has it shaped your path?
Yes. So I would say be a great, effective communicator. Especially if you're working in STEM, there's a lot of technical details that maybe, let's say you're asking your program manager for money or funding. Yeah. And let's say they do not have a strong technical background. You have to be able to explain technical terms to people who do not have that background, and make sure they understand it, and make sure they understand how valuable it is. So I would say first, be an effective communicator. Yeah. Second, take pride in your work. Whatever you do, control what you can do and be the best at your job that you can be. And if you need help, never be afraid to ask questions. I think one thing that has helped me in my career path thus far is identifying people who knew all the information and making sure I asked the questions that I needed to ask to understand whether it was a process better, a product better, or an internal part of the product better. Yeah. I always say, I guess this is my little advice, I never necessarily want to be the smartest person in the room. And the reason why I say that is because if there's someone like very smart, I can always have someone to learn from. Yes. I never want to become complacent in my current knowledge. I'm always seeking new ways to learn or new ways to understand things. Yes, and I think that's really important. Even if, I know as an entry-level engineer, even if they're throwing you on meetings, sit there and listen. Be a sponge at work. I truly believe in being a sponge at work so you can, understand and process things for yourself. It's so important. It's so important. And I think another one is find a mentor. I heavily believe in mentorship, you guys, because there's a version of us we think of ourselves, and there may be pieces that we may miss if we do not have someone on the outside looking at us as we do our work, as we host this meeting or develop this product or do this analysis. I think it's important to have a mentor that can guide you on, hey, I think you did this well, but you maybe need to tweak a little bit of this. I think that's really important to find a mentor and always seek feedback.
Yes.
Always be a sponge.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your STEM journey?
I would have at least minored in computer science or something with a more software background so I can understand all the delicate details of it. Now that I'm in software product management, I'm not coding, but just understanding how it works. And I'm grateful that I have a company that has tools that I can make sure I close that gap, but I would have definitely done that sooner versus later. And additionally, just seek mentorship earlier in my college years versus once I've already entered corporate America. I think it's important if you are in college, you need to find someone you trust to be a mentor. That I think I guess advice I would give for finding a mentor is if I seen someone do an exceptional job at work, or if they presented somewhere, or if they're getting awarded something. I always look for things that I make or I think make a good leader, because I am thinking about the leadership train. But even from a technical standpoint, if there's someone you're like, man, they're really smart in solving that problem or doing that data analysis, find people who have like the characteristics that you're like, man, I maybe need to tweak and be more like, not saying change yourself, but just tweak how maybe I think about a problem. Make sure you seek that. I think that would be the biggest thing I would change from in the past.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you.
So now I want to ask, have you been involved in any initiatives or programs to encourage young women or underrepresented groups to pursue STEM fields?
So I have heavily been involved in NSBE majority of my, I guess, career or tenure since college. So in college, I was in NSBE heavily.
And
where
what does NSBE stand for?
National Society of Black Engineers. They were awesome. So I really loved, at first we had an organization that kind of not only brought you to around your area or within your proximity of Black engineers, but also goes to conferences and you see people already doing the work ahead of you. I think that's amazing to see from a young age. And even now, at my current company, when I first joined, the first thing I look for, or even someone kind of introduced me, oh, we have a NSBE organization here that you can be a part of. And it was really great to see the initiatives and to see that, there's professional working groups that still invest in NSBE. And so that was important. And I think for me personally, I've always volunteered where we were speaking to students or particularly young women. I've always volunteered to those because it has a special place in my heart as first being a woman, but also encouraging women to just really, and young women, to be the best they can be. I believe it was like teachers in a classroom for engineering week, and I went to a class of, just young kids in the current area. And one little girl was like, I didn't know there can be women engineers. And honestly, I could have cried because it really, you do not know your impact until you are in those rooms sometimes. And I think when you go throughout life, when you meet people, I think even me being in the presence and describing, okay, this is what my company does, it touched a child that I've never met. But it could influence whatever she wants to be in the future. And even when I think of high school students, even in college, I used to recruit at high schools and talk to the girls and say, I'm pursuing an engineering degree. I think you should come here and also do it. And it's interesting to hear some of the stories you hear back of just some people just not feeling confident enough or not feeling like they have the talent or ability to do things. And I think it's so important to really hone in on our younger generation. They will be the future. So it's important to help shape those minds sooner versus later. And I think that I just have a passion for that.
Yeah.
And I just like to keep that.
Yeah.
I love it. I think
love
it's
that.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Exposure is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, your representation, you don't know how much of an impact it will make. And it's really like heartfelt. It's really, I don't know how to say, like, it just makes you feel good knowing that you made a difference by just showing up.
Yes.
And just being your authentic self.
Yes.
And it's really special. So I'm really excited to see how many people we impact with this channel and stuff we do in the community. Like, I can't wait.
I'm excited. That's why I'm here, girl. I love it.
Yes. So now I wanted to ask, and you kind of touched on this, like how you wanted to get coding experience. Is there any advice you have specifically for pursuing a mechanical engineering degree, or is it like the same of what we kind of already touched on?
I think the advice is, I would say, and this is probably advice to just be successful later on, but I would say understand where you are today technically. Understanding where you are today will help you see where you need to go in the future and what skills you need to obtain. I think it's a baseline. Once you have a good baseline of who you are, where your skills are today, I think that would set you up for anything you want to do in the future, especially with STEM. And I think I would say my story, I was always curious into why things were, whether it was engineering, whether it was why people are the way they are. I just was always curious on how things work. And so for me, it was just that curiosity that helped influence my decision in engineering. So I would say understand what your baseline and what makes you happy today. And when you think about engineering, it's highly technical. Where are your skills today? What can you learn certain things easier than others? And maybe you need to invest in learning one skill more than the other. I think really just learn where you are today and make a decision and stick to it and be dedicated. Once I make a decision, I'm going to stick to it and see it through. I know there may be obstacles along the way, but stick to it, see it through, and keep moving forward. Find people to help you along the way. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. So before we close out, I have 2 more questions for you that can help our audience. One is, what are 3 tips for success for navigating the STEM industry?
Yes. So the first step is to believe in yourself. I think it's really important to be your biggest cheerleader, essentially. Believe in yourself. Also be honest with yourself on where you are as far as your technical or non-technical skills. So you can have that good baseline of, hey, I may need to grow in this area, or I think I'm pretty good in this area. I think understanding where you are today in the engineering field, or just where you are from a technical, non-technical standpoint, is important. Additionally, I would say seek feedback from a mentor or from people have been in the industry for a long time, whether that's on your technical skills, whether that's on your non-technical skills. I think it's important to want to be a person that continuously grow and continuously be a sponge and learn things, especially as technology evolves. Engineering is always evolving, so you have to be adaptable to whatever the future may hold. And I think it's important not to get stubborn or stuck in one way of doing things. It's important to be adaptable, learn the skills you need to learn. And I think for the last tip is find a trusted mentor that will guide you on your path. And my personal one is I have different mentors for different reasons. And that's just what it is. Whatever, I have a goal of what I want to be as a leader or as a engineer in the future or a technical leader. And anytime I'm in a room, I am assessing who's in the room to become a potential mentor. And I think that's important. A mentor, because everyone has different perspectives, and I think you should understand, at least at bare minimum, every perspective. And network. Networking is really important. I know they say, because I'm honestly an introvert, And that's really just, I need time to myself to recharge. And I think that if you are an introvert, and most engineers, I would say, are introverts, when you are going in spaces where you may meet someone to help you get to whatever goal you have for yourself, just make sure you have your time to yourself and to go out there and be the best network person you can be, because it's important sometimes on who you know and what skills they know and who they know to get you the resources you need for yourself. So I think it's important to really network, you guys.
Thank you.
No problem.
And our last question for today is, what's next for you in your career, and what do you hope to achieve in the future?
Yes, so what's next in my career? So I do want to become like a technical lead. That isn't, because I want to, I know I baffle on the lines a lot of, oh, I just want to stay technical, not worry. But I think I am called to be a leader one day. And so if that is truly my calling, I want to set myself up for that, hence the engineering management degree, you guys. So yeah, hopefully first be a technical lead of a team and help, other people reach their full potential as I'm reaching mine. And then maybe one day I will be in executive leadership. We will see. So awesome. That's my goal for the future, you guys.
And of course, graduation in May.
Graduation in May. I'm super excited. It's been 3 years.
Yes, that's okay. You're here.
I'm so excited to graduate. And I'm excited because I'm the first in my family to get a master's degree. And I think what I've learned so far in my master's program has been very valuable and beneficial, and I think it will project me further in my career. So I'm excited for that, girl.
I love it.
Excited.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for being a guest. Thank you for sharing your story, your wisdom, your expertise, your advice. I'm really excited about your episode. Everyone, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and tune in for more things, because she will be back with us.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll see you next